Welcome to this episode of UMBC's Mic'd Up. My name is Denise Cardona from the Office of Professional Programs. We're joined by a recent graduate of our IO Psychology graduate program, Saad Arshad. We hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome, Saad, to this episode of UMBC's Mic'd Up. It's wonderful to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on.
Saad, can you talk to us a little bit about what made you choose the UMBC's graduate program in IO Psychology at UMBC?
I would say what made me choose the program here at UMBC in IO Psychology was that when I was in undergrad, I was thinking about a few options. I didn't know which subfield of psychology to choose. There was a couple of options open to me, like clinical psychology, but ultimately I chose IO Psychology simply because the job opportunities were just abundant with even just with a master's degree. And so I found that IO psychology would provide me with a lot of not only just great job opportunities, but a lot of marketing and networking opportunities as well. With simply just like, and with a master's degree at UMBC, I found that UMBC was a very practical and applied hands-on program. So I decided to pursue UMBC.
What I love about the UMBC graduate programs here in the Division of Professional Studies is all the programs are very applied in nature. So it's kind of like you can learn something on Monday night and go to work on Tuesday and apply it right directly. And it's really an enriching learning experience to be able to learn something and to be able to apply it, and not just learn the theory, which is still important, but to be able to apply that theory in the real world, I think is a real takeaway. Can you, for those listening, could you explain just a little bit about what intrigued you most about the field of IO psychology?
What intrigued me the most about the field of IO psychology was that the sort of like studying an organization and being able to, a lot of people, a lot of teams and whatnot, studying teams, studying the organization, being able to diagnose a problem, and then being able to solve the problem with just teams throughout, whether they're in the HR department or IT department, making, working with a lot of people coming together and figuring out, well, this is a problem in our workforce. Maybe we're not doing a good job. We're not following through with our strategic plan. And being able to, just work with different team members and being able to solve organizational wide problems to improve employee productivity was definitely intriguing for me.
Yeah, that's a really wonderful description of what IO psychology is. And I'm studying right now in the Learning and Performance Technology graduate program at UMBC. So it's sort of like related. I'd call it a sibling in a way, because what we do is we are the ones who would create the training for if there is a performance gap and there's something found out with IO psychologists where there is training is needed. It's not always needed, but when it is, that would be where I would step in and create course modules and instructions to be able to help bring organizations up to speed, so to speak. And it is an exciting field to be able to take problems that are happening within an organization and to be able to help improve processes. Because essentially that's what you're doing, is you're looking at something, analyzing it, and deciding, well, how can we improve this? How can we make this better so that everybody thrives and people enjoy coming to work and doing a great job? What was it that made you choose UMBC?
I would say, probably the biggest reason was just that I was at UMBC as an undergrad. And so I was already familiar with the institution. I already knew that they were very helpful. They had a wide array of resources when it came to, just seeking help maybe outside of, just the classroom environment, seeking professional employment opportunities, networking opportunities with organizations like SHRM, just various I just found UMBC to be helpful outside the classroom, not just inside, but definitely outside of the classroom. Another reason was that UMBC, once again, they marketed heavily as a applied hands-on program, as opposed to some of the other programs that I saw. Now, again, as you mentioned, theory is very important, but I felt like a lot of the other programs just tended to not really provide, a lot of their faculty members weren't working professionals. They were more like research oriented. And so I definitely wanted a program where working professionals brought their experience, brought all this, knowledge and their skill set from outside and, brought it into the classroom and, transfer that experience and knowledge onto us. I think that was very helpful.
Yeah, I would imagine that it's incredibly helpful to be able to having these instructors who are out there every day working in the field, understanding what the issues are, because things change too. It's a dynamic type of industry that things don't just stay the same. So they're bringing this knowledge of, hey, this is what happened in the office this week, and this is what I learned. So it's almost like real world case studies where you're learning something really enriching from a faculty member, and they're asking you to dig deeper to be able to understand and analyze what issues and how to resolve those issues. That's really a great benefit.
Definitely.
What were your expectations in coming into the program?
I would say my expectations were that if I wanted to, maybe perhaps I was thinking about like if I wanted to be employed at a consulting firm and maybe want to do some work in maybe an HR department. My expectations were that I would be able to walk away with just a lot of with a practical skill set, applied knowledge, and also walk away with being able to network, being in a community with not just faculty members, but with other students and working professionals, being able to stay connected with them and just help one another out even after the program was done with. So I would say that, yeah, definitely my expectations were going in that I would walk away with a lot of practical knowledge and networking opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, that networking factor is incredibly pivotal when it comes to a career, because I mean, that's how you can get your foot in the door somewhere. That's how, you can brainstorm ideas that you might be having at work, and you have a network of teams of people who you can reach out to and talk to about these things and help brainstorm solutions. It is a really great, it's a really great thing to have at the end of a program like this. Speaking of building a rich network, can you talk a little bit about what your fellow classmates were like in terms of maybe, was there a spirit of collaboration in the class? And, what kind of, there were working professionals. Were some of them working professionals? Were some of them not working professionals? But what kind of experiences did they bring to the classroom?
There was definitely a spirit of collaboration. That's one of the points that I would stress in this program that I really liked, is that there, aside from, COVID and before COVID came around and we had to, switch to online modality, I remember during in-person instruction, it was, we always were in a group. A lot of the times, almost every course, there were several group projects. And there was definitely a lot of collaboration. Many of the people that I was in a group with, there were working professionals. Some of them were those that were older and had a lot of experience. They brought a lot to the table. Some of them were working professionals, but they just didn't really maybe know much about the specific topic of the course that we were in. So it was just amazing to see a lot of people that, especially those that, had a lot of experience in a certain topic, they were able to bring that into our, project. One of the projects that we worked on, like in job analysis, one of the group members worked in the HR department in one company and did a lot of work with not only recruiting, but just updating job posts. And so they knew a little bit about how to assess a job's qualifications, their knowledge, skills, abilities, and whatnot. They were able to definitely help me out, and I was able to learn a lot from them as opposed to just simply learning from a textbook or from the instructor.
How did this program prep you for a professional career within IO psychology?
The IO psychology graduate program at UMBC prepared me in a way where they definitely push their alumni, their students and their alumni, to not only seek out a lot of, like up and going up the ladder and seeking out better job opportunities, but also exploring a wide array of fields within IO Psych. And that's really one of the things that they prepare you for. Is they're not just setting you up like in a specific field. They're allowing you to get to explore many different fields, see what interests you, see where your strengths lie, and then they would be able to work with you, and hopefully you'd be able to find, your specific niche and, work, definitely pursue that specific line. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's really great to be able to have that lens to be able to look at various different opportunities, because let's face it, when you go into a program, not everybody knows every single facet of what you can do for a career. And that's the greatest part about being in a graduate program like the IO Psychology program, is that you're able to explore these different avenues, things you may not have even thought about. And now you're like, wow, I didn't even realize that that was an option. And I'm sure that it really does open many doors for people in terms of being able to just consider different career paths.
Definitely.
What was your biggest takeaway from this program?
The biggest takeaway from the program was the applied knowledge, the applied skill set, the practical knowledge that I was able to walk away with. After having taken some courses, you not only learn the theory, but you were able to take whatever you learn in the classroom environment and apply it. And I definitely applied that, in the last course that everyone takes in the program. It's a capstone course. It's applied. It's outside of the classroom environment. And you take what you've learned and you apply it. And that's something that I found that, a lot of whether the skill set was in strategic planning or survey design or job analysis, you were able to take whatever you learn, go into an organization, diagnose the problem, and then work with them to improve that process, whatever it was.
What are your future plans for a career in IO psychology at this point? Are you working right now, or do you have a desire to work in a particular avenue that you want to discuss and talk about?
But my future plan is to maybe perhaps get a job at a consulting firm and hopefully work in organizational development. And within that, I can also, explore opportunities in strategic planning and maybe even training and development. So my future would definitely be to work in consulting.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit specifically about the experience you had with your capstone?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about what that experience was? Like, did you work for a particular company, and what were the big takeaways from that experience?
Yeah, so with the capstone course, this is a course where for the students that don't have at that time I did not have a job, so I didn't have a client. So you can seek out a client, and what essentially it is that you work as a consultant, and you go into the organization and they identify a certain problem, whatever it may be, and then you are tasked with bringing together the team and using whatever you have learned throughout the program, applying it and improving that process. In my specific case, I seeked out a client in Baltimore, and it's a manufacturing business, food manufacturing business, and they needed some help with strategic planning. Their strategic plan was outdated. I believe like it was 7-8 years old, and so I was tasked with updating that strategic plan, and also working with many of in fact, I almost exclusively worked with many of the leaders of the organization to not only update the strategic plan, but also help them in maintaining and following through with that strategic plan and implementing it. And one of the biggest takeaways that I found in that program was one was, learning more and more about strategic planning, of course, but another one was just project management. And that includes time management and being able to interact with leaders like the CEO, CFO, and, the director of customer and business processes, having them all convene and managing this project, making them, or not making them, I shouldn't say that, but definitely encouraging them to come together and give their input not only to just, each person just, gives their little input, but allowing them to bounce ideas off of one another, managing that whole process and updating the strategic plan. Just juggling a lot of the leaders of the program. I found that it was quite difficult to manage this project and do so in a very timely manner. The semester that we had to do this was very short, but I found that, I learned a lot about strategic planning, how to, you know, I would say to look at an organization's vision and their mission and being able to work with that, just being able to see how far, they can plan out a year and a half, 2 years, and not only just also coming up with specific objectives that they want to accomplish. And yeah, just doing that, in a timely manner, setting deadlines, being able to manage this whole project as well. Just, I would say those were like the biggest takeaways from the program. Yeah.
Yeah, real world application. Once again, that seems to be the theme and the trend, which is wonderful. And yeah, just the fact that this has added to a really rich portfolio experience, so that when you are out there interviewing and applying for these jobs, you've got some real world experience to be able to share in your CV, as well as just in the interview itself. You'll be able to provide this kind of context to real world situations. That's what it sounds like.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So are you excited about applying for jobs and getting yourself out there into the field?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm in the process currently, but yeah, just hoping that some type of opportunity, hopefully, one that is more, right up my alley, getting like, even if it's not necessarily consulting, just anything maybe that would allow me to use what I've learned, and I'll definitely be able to learn from that job experience, and then hopefully maybe then later in the future, being able to pursue a consulting opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, Saad, it's been wonderful chatting with you today. I'm really grateful that you spent some time with us, and it's just been a really great, enriching conversation about the value of UMBC's IO Psychology graduate program. It sounds like you got a lot out of it, and I'm really happy to hear that. And any last words, anything that I have not asked you that you think would lend any value to this conversation?
I would just like to add that for any students that are, or anyone that's a working professional that maybe wants to pursue IO psychology and they're confused, they're on the border, they don't know, I would say definitely pursue a master's degree at UMBC, because they will definitely equip you with the practical knowledge and with the networking opportunities. They'll definitely help you to find many professional opportunities to help not only just, in the classroom environment, but also as a working professional, help you build your resume, help you with your professional life. I definitely think it's a great opportunity to not only build your skill set, but also command a higher salary, those, next tier jobs that many people with, maybe that don't have an advanced degree wouldn't have access to.
Very well stated, Saad. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Denise. It was a pleasure being on.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of UMBC's Mic'd Up. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to learn more about UMBC's graduate program in IO Psychology, please visit us at umbc.edu/IO.